Now we welcome in the serial killer expert, my sister. It's a pleasure to have you. First time ever on the podcast. I've mentioned you a lot in the sports podcast. I've mentioned you a lot on the other podcast, That's Life. But first time on the podcast, welcome in Jessica.
Thank you. Thank you. I know I'm like a celebrity already, so they can finally put a voice to the name.
Yeah. So here's the thing is like, you're obsessed with serial killers. This is
Correct.
a subject that actually makes me very uncomfortable. Like I have a phobia of serial killers in jail. Like I don't even know why. I'll wake up and be like, just have a
Like you
nightmare.
accidentally killed
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah. I'll wake up and be like, did I stab that guy 7 times? It's like, Jacob, you don't even live in Portland. What are you talking about? Like, I live with that. Like, if a police pulls me over for speeding, like, I
Yes.
immediately think I'm going to jail. There's a body in my trunk that I didn't know was there. Did I kill him?
Someone,
I
yep.
do know 100%. So all that stuff bothers me. But for some reason, you are obsessed with it. And you know what I've noticed a lot? And this is not to point out a specific gender, but it seems like females in general love
White
serial
women.
killers. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Is it because and here's the funny thing is like if
No, I know what it is.
what is it? Tell
Because
me.
we're all afraid of being murdered. Every woman, every female that you meet, we are all afraid of being murdered. We can be any of these victims. I'm not saying men don't get murdered. Men get murdered. Men get assaulted. Men get attacked. I understand that. Definitely not saying that. But we are all afraid of being murdered as women.
Okay. And so all right, so are you like basically is this survival test? Like are you just preparing to get murdered at all times?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
At all times. Walking
Okay.
to and from my car anywhere, I am aware that there is a man somewhere or a woman, probably a man, that is going to murder me.
Okay.
It's just my assumption. And so when a strange man comes up to me, my first reaction is, "You're a murderer. Please, sir, take a step back. How can I help you?"
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's kind of how I am with any human. When they come up to me, I'm like, "Oh, I feel like you have the ability
Can I
to
help you?
murder everyone in the entire room right now."
Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of Karens out there that I've been like, is she gonna murder that barista for the wrong coffee?
Well, and see, and that's the thing. It's like it seems like like a lot of the male murderers murder for like some sort of pleasure, and it's like a lot of the female serial killers murder just to murder. It's just like she's
Yeah.
like one day I woke up and decided to stab Kevin 7 times in the face because he didn't make my
Listen,
omelet, and I'm like, oh, that gum.
have you ever heard the song "He Had It Coming"? I
Yeah.
mean, chances are it wasn't just the omelet. I'm sure there were other reasons
Well,
that
and
she
see,
murdered her
here's the
husband.
thing. Let's be honest. How many of those people that did get murdered did have it coming? You know, like there had to be a bad one in the bunch.
Not
You know what I mean?
well, okay. I'm sure not all murder victims are all, you know, straight laced, great, productive people. But I will
There had to
say,
been like one pedophile in there where like the cops were like, "Oh, they killed Chris," and it's like, Chris touched children. Like,
we'll just
okay, we won't
find
look
his
we won't look too hard for that skull in
it's
the
a weird unidentified 10th body. Oh, I don't know what this is.
exactly. Okay, so there's a lot to get into with serial killers.
Let's do it.
So where did you kind of find your obsession with serial killers starting to grow? Because it seems like as of recent, you've been like getting into like the whole genre of serial killers.
No, I just finally let my freak flag fly. I
Okay.
finally just let everybody know and just finally just been honest with how obsessed I am with murder and serial killers.
So you came out of the closet for killers. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Amen. So I actually have a story. I have two stories,
Let's hit it.
short stories as to why I'm obsessed with murder.
Okay.
So actually three, and I'll tell you them. One,
You're like, I love the sight of blood. I love when people are being strangled to death.
just it really just gets me going. No. Do you, if any religious people are on this, did you ever read the Left Behind books?
Absolutely.
'Cause they were weird. They were about horrible murder. People were dying all the time. And it was just weird and horrible. So that's one. Two, I will never forget the day that JonBenet Ramsey was murdered. I was seriously like 5 years old.
Hmm.
And we were like all sitting down as a family for some reason, which I think is really, this is the thing too. Like a lot of us were exposed to the news way too young. And
Yeah.
I can remember seeing pictures of JonBenet Ramsey as a 5-year-old. And I just like, she was blonde. She was 5. I was 5. I don't know if she was 5. She was about 5.
Yeah.
I was like, it clicked in my brain for the rest of my life that like I couldn't unsee it. And then the last one was, I don't know if you remember this, when we lived Can I say where we lived?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
not
not
gonna
there.
like name.
It's not there where I live now, right?
No.
Oh,
When we
okay.
lived
Yeah.
in
Because
give
I was
away
about
our
to say,
home address
I
on
was
the
about to say,
show.
you're telling me my address on a serial killer podcast. Like that's just some guy's gonna listen to it and be like, I'm
And
murdering
your like
that kid.
social security number.
Yeah.
For the record, I would then do a podcast about your murder from our murder.
I was just about to say the sequel to That's Life next week is just gonna be Jessica updating, be like, he was
First of all,
brutally
it would
murdered.
it'd be my life from now on, and it would be my That's Life, and I would go on to tell your murder story. I don't know if you remember this, but I was between 10 and 13. There was a robbery at a local Burger King that left 2 people dead. So what it was a shocking thing. The Burger King was set on fire. That's how the cops found it. They found bodies in the freezer. It was this whole horrific thing on our small town of Valpo that literally at that time, it's built up now, but at the time we were all happy when we got a Chili's. Like it had Applebee's, Burger King, McDonald's, and a Fazoli's. So like didn't have much. So we were all just like, we couldn't believe it. Then come to find out, twists and turns. Then come to find out it was a planned robbery by people that all worked there. There was like 3 people, maybe it's 2. I don't remember. All I remember is people that worked there. So they faked a robbery. They tied the people up, put them in the freezer, but we're supposed to fake tie them up, put them in the freezer. And then they'd be like, oh no, someone robbed us.
Yeah.
Well, the guy betrayed them, set the Burger King on fire, and killed his friends in the freezer. So
That's why you can never trust criminals. Because
well, yeah, I mean, yes.
I mean, like the second you think like, listen, we're gonna murder this whole family together, he murders you.
Yes. Yeah. Same thing with like robbery. Yeah.
Well, it seems like even like people in your life, have been around some like pretty traumatic stuff. I won't name her name on here, but she had a guy with a machete come to her school.
Well, I also recently, yes. So my friend growing up, she had it was, a school macheteing, not a school shooting. Yeah, he didn't kill anyone, but he swung a machete at a bunch of kids and cut them all up.
Yeah.
I actually forgot because I blocked it out. I did have a friend murdered.
What?
Yes. I will not name her name. She was a beautiful, beautiful human being. This shows how much I blocked this out because this poor woman. I mean, she was like a friend of a friend. Like, I don't want to be like, I was her best friend because I hate that. And if I ever get murdered and anybody is like, she was my best friend, you and publicly on this podcast, the odds are slim to none that I was that person's best friend.
Yeah. You hate people. I would consider myself top 3 in your book.
Yes, I was just about to say 3. I probably had 3, 4 best friends. And if anyone besides that people and maybe our immediate family come out and say they were my best friend, they're liars. So I don't want to take this woman. We hung out in groups in social settings. So I don't want to pretend I'm her best friend because that's horrible. Her very abusive boyfriend execution style shot her.
Like
it was terrible.
Back of the head?
Yeah, it was really horrible. She left behind 2 beautiful girls. So I'm sorry that I just brought this whole conversation down.
I mean, listen, I had a feeling this podcast was going to go dark at some point, Like you don't have a podcast about serial killers and then just be like, and then we all got ice cream afterwards.
Well, I do.
Yeah, but that's for she's got her Burn Bundy Burn shirt on. She's got, if you can't see behind her, she's got a wall of famous serial killers. Let's continue into this obsession. So that's interesting that those 3 instances were like what launched you really into like being a little bit obsessive over the genre.
Very.
So what was like, do you remember your first like murder mystery show and or like your first serial killer documentary? Because I know I do.
What was yours?
I watched it on accident, actually, which made it even creepier. Is I was laying in bed. I was in 8th grade. And I remember on YouTube, they would like upload murder documentaries or like, where they have real interviews with the killer or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. And I remember, I don't know why I'm blanking out, the dude that Jeffrey Dahmer. I remember it was like an hour-long Dahmer documentary where they actually talked to him the whole time. It was like 60 minutes, I think. And when they did like the Dahmer interview, and he's like talking about, he's just like, and then I, slaughtered them and kept the skulls and took them to Chili's with me because I wanted them to be close while I ate my spin dip. I'm like, what the frick? Like I'm in bed, like, and I remember that being one of the biggest moments of like, I'm done. Like this isn't for me and I'm out. So like, what was your first like serial killer show or TV, like murder mystery crime show?
It was I don't know. I think it was just the news like that. Because JonBenet Ramsey, when she died, you were too young. I don't even know if you were alive. It was nonstop on the TV, like nonstop. And it was like from that moment forward, and there were just show after show. I think there were probably 60 Minutes and 2020s that our parents probably had on that they shouldn't have had on while I was in the room. Because you can thank them for this conversation.
Well, what's interesting is like nowadays, if a kid gets murdered, you don't hear about it. You do if it's local news. Do you realize like that's how crazy it's like back then?
Yeah.
Someone being murdered or like 2 people being shot or like even like remember when like Ted Bundy was doing his crimes, like those it was like 3 or 4 missing girls was FBI national news. It wasn't, whereas like nowadays it's like 7 people are missing. It's like, 72 people were shot up in Illinois last night. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, let's move on.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I definitely agree. I think especially missing persons cases, because there's no like crazy sensation, or unfortunately, people of color are widely underreported. That's just a fact. That's a fact everywhere. I mean, I'm even thinking about it. All the people on my painting behind me, they all killed probably white people. The people of color are all very like vastly underreported.
Yeah.
So
all right. So what was that first show that you remember that became like your go-to like Netflix show, I would say? Like your U's out there.
Oh,
you've got Dexter. Like, what was your go-to? Dexter, absolutely. Yes. Was that your first like serial killer obsession show? Because there's so many out there, but like for some reason Dexter just took off.
There are so many out there, and there's so many out there now. But think about years ago. I think Dexter was my first really non-fiction show.
Okay.
That I was like, yes, this is my jam. It's like finally somebody got me and they wrote Dexter just for me.
Yeah.
But Bates Motel was after that. We actually just rewatched Bates Motel. Phenomenal. But Dexter, I think, might be the like I said nonfiction earlier. It's fiction.
Fiction. Yeah. I wasn't gonna.
Dexter is thanks. Dexter is fiction. It's my fictional show. I probably Dexter.
Yeah, I mean,
nonfiction though, like you said on YouTube, I mean, you fall down rabbit trails. I was watching stuff
that was, and see, here's also
gave me nightmares.
Also, this is, I mean, this YouTube can go screw yourself because what it does is like I watched the Jeffrey Dahmer video, right? And then like for 7 straight weeks, it's just like, hey, do you want to see this person and his murder story? And I'm like, no, stop bringing. And then it's just like too late. The video's playing. Next thing you know, I'm watching John Wayne Gacy, and I'm just like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, no, I
don't like this anymore.
Yeah, I was like, YouTube can go screw itself. All right, Dexter is probably mine. I know You is really big right now.
Yes, You was good. I actually, this is really horrible, but I prefer the truth. I prefer the true story.
That sounds horrible, but I've actually heard more than one person say that they prefer like.
Don't get me wrong. Stuff. I love Dexter. I love You. I love Bates Motel. Like I loved all of it. I've watched it. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But I really and I'm very picky at this point with my documentaries.
Okay.
Like I started to watch the Night Stalker one on Netflix, and they had a fact wrong, and it bugged me, so I stopped watching it. I didn't even finish it.
Okay, so Netflix, do your due diligence next time. There's some of us out there that are dedicated to the source material.
If anyone has not watched the Ted Bundy documentaries, those were phenomenal. The ones that just came out within the last couple of years.
Yes, the Netflix one. That's actually one of the only ones that I actually like watched all the way through, and I didn't really have nightmares. I mean, I did after a couple episodes where it's like, then he got out and beat her to death with a baseball bat, and I'm like, holy.
Yeah, you didn't. The sexual assault and the cannibalism and the necrophilia, that really didn't
It was.
Weird.
I
Didn't give me
thought it was
nightmares.
really. I thought it was really well done. To be
It
honest,
was very well.
like
Yeah.
it was. It was shot and produced at like a high level. Where a lot of those murder documentaries, it's just like there's no
Yeah.
noise in the background, so like their silence piercing voices are just like shiver. You know, like this one.
Were there terrible reenactments? Terrible reenactments.
Yeah, where it has like these two people they picked up in town that day. They're like, we'll give you $30 to pretend to murder this young woman.
If you just yeah.
And this guy with 3 teeth in his head is just like, that sounds amazing. And then he goes
and the girl's like,
please
just so
don't
bad.
kill me. And I'm like, I doubt that she said those exact words. It was probably something like, ah! Like she wasn't talking to the man. No.
it's like the Life Alert commercials where it's like, I've fallen and I can't get up. Like, please, sir, do not murder me.
Yeah, they're not going, oh my God, my leg is like, they're just like, excuse me, like, can an ambulance please get here? I clicked the cross button that was around my neck. So, all right. But do you remember, oh goodness, is it Making a Murderer?
Yes.
Okay. So
Poor Stephen Avery.
yeah. So
No, wait, not Stephen.
No,
Brendan Dassey.
Brendan.
No,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
poor Stephen. No, I'm sorry. Strike that from the record.
Yeah. I was
No,
about to say
not poor Stephen Avery. Poor Brendan Dassey.
Yeah. So, all right. So talk a little bit about that. Cause I remember this being like one of your, like we had
I was obsessed.
hour-long phone calls about who we think did it. Okay. Do you think, well, you know what happens, but do you think that he was framed for the first murder?
I think that, okay, I'm going to be very diplomatic as I say this.
And for people, by the way, that haven't seen this, it's on YouTube. It's called Making a Murderer. It's fantastic. Like if you haven't seen it, you're kind of
It's also been like 10 years, right?
It's been like 8 years. It's like a massive show, but it's still, I actually just saw an article about it like a couple days ago, like just the updates and like how he's appealing all that stuff. So it's still very much alive and around. But anyways, you need to go check it out on Netflix. All right, go ahead.
One, his lawyers were my favorite people to exist. My favorite. They're the dynamic duo. I felt bad for Brendan Dassey. I thought that was terrible what they did to him. I think that if there was some fudging, I think that, let's just put it this way. I don't think Stephen Avery is not guilty.
I mean, if you look at him, he's done something. Like he deserves to be in jail. I don't know if it's for murdering 3 people or whatever, but like he deserves to be in jail for something.
I mean, like, he did weird stuff to cats and stuff. So like, can we just put him in jail just for that? Like, I'm sure he killed a lot of animals. So
yeah.
I don't think he is innocent by any means. And I think that the police were a little bit fishy. But like, you know, if he's in jail, it might not be the worst thing in the planet.
Yeah. Hey, boss, I found this this piece of evidence that would completely exonerate him. Throw it in the trash.
Yeah.
Let me see it.
Might be what happened.
Yeah, let me see it, Johnson. Oh, now my fingerprint's all over it because we can't use it anymore. All right. So for those of the people that don't know, Brendan, is it Brendan, right? Brendan was like a mentally challenged kid that they basically
he had a very, very low IQ. And
and they basically talked him into saying that he was guilty, right?
They told him he could go home and watch wrestling if he confessed. And I think the fact that his has with stuff.
I can just be like, hey, bud, you want to go watch John Cena? Just say you murdered somebody.
Just admit that you helped your good old crazy uncle. Just get rid of that there pretty photography lady. No, Stephen Avery is trash. But poor Brendan Dassey. I'm not saying Brendan Dassey wasn't involved. I'm just saying there is a mental capacity that was used and abused there. That's
Well, and I think like as a whole, if you look at like a lot of these serial killers too, like a lot of it, and like we talk about this all the time, and I talk about it with my volleyball players, how important it is to look at mental health early and take care of mental health often. Because what they do is a lot of it, they see the early signs of mental health, and then they just like, all right, well, you're going to work at Burger King. And it's just like, hold up. Like, he also might kill people at Burger King.
Right.
Like,
he also might stage a murder and put them in their freezer and just set the building on fire.
And they're like, well, he couldn't add 2 + 2. They're like, yeah, maybe this is something we should have looked at when he was 5. So like, that's the crazy part is too, is like all of these serial killers, or a lot of them at least, have a severe mental illness that was never addressed early on. And then it just manifests into worse and worse and worse. The more that they have freedom, the more that they get money and stuff like that, because, you know, now they just go wild.
Ed Kemper, like, I don't want to say this wrong, but Ed Kemper, like, decapitated his grandfather or grandmother. I think it was his grandmother, like, decapitated her. And they were like, it was like a juvenile offense. Like, oh, he's fine. We'll send him back out. And he like lived with his mother, eventually decapitated his mother and stuff. Yeah. They like sent him to live with his grandparents and he murdered one of them. And then hung out at cop cars.
Oh, it's like, hey,
That's
listen,
the point.
it's like, hey, listen, you need to go stay with your grandparents now, right? Give us the head. Give us the head. You got to go back with grandma. It's just like,
Give us mommy's head. He killed mom after the fact, but yes, basically. Yeah,
right,
no,
so-
I
yeah.
sorry. I was
No,
just
go
gonna
ahead.
comment on the mental health. I totally agree. I think there are some people, like you said, there are some people who are just evil, like a Ted Bundy.
Yeah, 100%. There's people that
Straight up evil.
have Satan in them, and
Yes.
it is what it is.
Yeah. So, although Satanists don't kill people.
They don't. Do they? What do they do?
No.
Do they sacrifice
They-
them?
No, they just like Satan. I don't know.
Oh,
I shouldn't speak. I'm not a Satanist. I don't know
They-
why I'm pretending like I know a Satanist.
they wear a lot of like black eyeshadow, and they just get
Yeah,
in
they're just like
circles.
the goth kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Okay,
just-
so you've got a couple facts for me.
Yeah.
So she, like I said, guys, she's obsessed with serial killers. And I find it interesting that you can find, like, it's super cool that you can point out specific areas like that led you to like kind of your obsession and diving into it. And there's a very specific reason that I can't do it.
Yeah.
But let's hear them out. What are your top 5 serial killers? And this isn't, guys, by the way, this isn't like top 5 favorite where she's just like, I love their murders. It was so
No, yeah.
fun. Because I know I will get a message from somebody, because that's how this
Yes.
works. Where they're just like, hey, you trash bag, why are you, allowing these victims to be run? It's like, I'm not doing that. But I mean, like, I do kind of want to know your top 5 favorites and why, because you have an interesting fact about all of them, correct?
Well, I actually have a fun fact about my serial killer painting behind me for
Okay.
everyone in there.
Awesome.
I'll tell you, I don't have a favorite per se because everyone's is Ted Bundy. I mean, I have a Ted Bundy t-shirt on, so.
Yeah.
But the scariest one, the one that gave me, well, there's 2 that gave me legit nightmares that I had to take a break from true crime. One was the East Area Rapist, the Golden State Killer. That's the one they recently caught because of DNA, familial DNA.
Oh, yeah.
That was something that was like very tangible in my life because he would like tie up the husband and like do horrible things to the wife and then like kill them both. So that was something that always haunted me. And then there's one, and I'm telling you, if you do not like true crime, do not look this person up because it is the Toy Box Killer. Do not look it up if you do not like true crime. You know, like 2 Girls, 1 Cup, where everyone's like, don't look it up. And then you looked it up, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I should never look this up. Like,
yeah, because
take
then
that
yeah,
times it by 1,000. Do not look it up
and
unless
add
you like
death
true
to
crime.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh.
What's
So-
what's like the quick synopsis of it?
He would capture a woman and do things to her that I can never get out of my mind ever.
Why would you
I think he finally let one of them go. I think that's how he got caught. Literally, it's so horrifying that I like listened to a podcast about it once and I was like, nope, never again. He like played a creepy video. Like he tied them up into a chair. And then when they woke up, he would not be in there. He'd play a creepy video for him, like freaking Saw.
like Saw? Yeah.
Yes. And this whole horrible long video, and I watched it because I'm a psycho myself apparently, and I couldn't help myself. But I watched the whole entire video, and it was horrifying. So I'm telling you, if you don't like, I listened to every murder on the planet, and that's the one that stuck with me. And he did horrible things to these women.
You say
So, yeah.
he let one of them go?
Yeah, I think or one of them escaped because he got caught because I think one of them got let go. But
Well, I hope
You
she
know.
escaped. I hope she escaped, and he didn't just like he has like 20 dead bodies. And he's just like, you can go now. And it's just like, hold it, like if you're gonna finish your job at least. You know what I mean? Anyways,
well, I mean, they get lazy.
yeah. Well, this is very true. They get sloppy. They get lazy. You know.
Yeah,
Now technology is so
they're
prevalent.
like, yeah. Well, and they're like psychopaths. So like,
yeah,
you know,
it's very true.
that kind of plays a level into them getting caught.
Yeah. All
And
right.
they're
So,
narcissists, probably.
top five. Go
Okay,
for it.
5. I can only do 5.
5. I mean, you can do more if you've got more.
I've got a few. Okay. So
Tell me.
starting with, I'm going to go in this corner. Okay.
Is that John Wayne Gacy?
It is. I'm so proud of you. Oh,
Thank
proud
you.
sister moment.
Thank you.
He is quoted as saying, and this is not a direct quote, so I'm paraphrasing, but that basically he should have never been charged for more than running an unlicensed cemetery because they found so many dead boys in his crawl space in his backyard. So he denied it until the end.
Yeah, he was. I know he was a denier where he was like trying to appeal, and he's like, I would never do anything, and it's just like we found 70 bodies under your house, and he's just like, those aren't mine.
He's like, your name is written all over them.
So he was the famous clown killer that everybody likes to take a picture of, but
Pogo the clown.
Yeah, but like everybody thinks that he dressed up as a clown to get these boys, but he had a construction company. And what he'd do is like he'd hire these young 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds to come work for, decent for cash, and he would rape and murder them, right? Like after he'd like pick them up from the house, and like, which also how it took that long for him to get caught. Because like it's like there's one guy picking you up and then you don't come home, and then he's just like, I don't know where they went.
What are the odds?
Yeah. And everybody's just like, it's probably not him. I was like, I'm pretty sure
he was like a stand-up member of the community. He was like involved in politics. He did Pogo the clown bits for like children in hospitals, which like can you imagine being one of those poor kids and growing up and becoming an adult? Like you beat cancer and then you remember the creepy clown that came in that made you laugh that day, murdered a bunch of children.
I'm just picturing like a kid who's just like, it's like your chemo's complete, great job, and it's like also Pogo raped and murdered 3 people. You're just like, oh my god, he pulled a balloon out of his hat, like
he made a bunny appear. He made me smile.
Yeah, he was interesting because remember he almost got away, but they caught him. He stopped at a gas station to buy weed from his weed dealer, and that's how they ended up picking him up.
Officially brought him in. We're able to officially bring him in. They pretty much had him. He was taunting the cops in the end.
Yeah.
He's a horrible person. I mean, obviously none of these people are good people.
Yeah, none of them was like, but he made a really good chili. It's like, no, he's like, he murdered everyone that he saw.
Okay. There's a Daniel Tosh joke who talks about like, if you're ever the neighbor that's like, but he was such a good person. I never saw it coming. He was like, no, I hate you.
To your core. To
your core. Like if my mom came out and I found out she'd murdered children, I'd be like, sometimes she didn't like kids.
I could see it.
Sometimes I could see it. Yeah. That's one of my favorite Daniel Tosh
jokes. Forgot about that. I'm gonna have to listen to that. Daniel Tosh is so good. All right, so you got John Wayne Gacy.
Do you know who the next one is? It's kind of hard to see with the
light. Where are we going? Below or beside?
Down.
This
one right here.
I mean, it kind of looks like Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy. Ding, ding, ding. I'm really proud of you right now.
Thank you.
There's so many facts about him. Everybody knows a lot about him.
Yeah.
I'll give you 2 facts. Well, I'll give you one, I guess. Whatever. He proposed and married during his murder trial because he was representing himself. He proposed to his girlfriend. Is it a girlfriend? I don't know. Yeah. I don't feel like they should ever be allowed to have girlfriends or boyfriends because they're horrible people. But yeah, proposed and married his girlfriend in the middle of his own murder trial.
Didn't he have a kid with her? Is this the one that he had a kid with and like was with him till the end, or was that the other girl? Because I knew
she's the crazy one.
Yeah, there was a girl that literally like he talked about in his final like depositions and stuff when he was talking to like reporters, like how the guards would just let them like screw and stuff. And like
allegedly. So there is a side of the true crime community that says, did he though, or is this another Ted Bundy
fable?
Like show for the end? Because he said, but he also said a lot of stuff. So he also said that porn was the reason he murdered all these women.
I did see that. He's like every serial killer that I know is into porn. It's like, first off, who like do you have a group chat? Like, whoa. Can we settle down? Like that reporter didn't
Serial Killer Anonymous.
He's just like, he's like all these other serial killers that I know. And he's just like, all right, go get murdered now. I would have been like, hold up, can we figure out where these other murderers
are? You back here.
Yeah.
Hey, he did try to stay his execution for stuff like that to try to like help out with other crimes. He's
Well,
full of
like
it.
I remember, wasn't it towards the end he like stopped giving him like the first couple times he was like, this is where this body is, where that body is, and then he was just like sending them on goose chases, basically like, you
Yes.
can't murder me on Tuesday. I know where another skull is, and then they go out there,
Yes.
and it was nothing. There was like nothing that they could find.
So the other fun fact, actually, I'll tell you, is my Burn Bundy burn shirt, and it is a picture of Ted Bundy in the electric chair. They sold these
Yeah,
outside of his execution, and fun fact, he was murdered the same year I was born. I shouldn't say murdered. He murdered people. He was put
Yeah.
to death finally.
he got
I mean,
got
I'm
his
not
justice.
pro or yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a good, better way to say
Well,
it.
and I
But
think
yeah,
that was the
that's
most
my Burn
interesting
Bundy
is
burn.
like is if you watch the documentary, there was literally thousands of people. Like, you know how you go
Yeah.
watch a space shuttle take off, like you get the kids
Yes.
and you're like, let's go see the space shuttle. Or like, hey guys, we're gonna picnic out and watch the 4th of July. They're just
Yeah.
like, we're gonna go watch a guy get murdered tomorrow. Get in the van. Like, that's what they
Judy,
did.
grab the kids. We're getting McDonald's. We're going to watch Ted Bundy get murdered today.
Well, and it's like, that's crazy. It's like they made t-shirts. There was people selling like fancy lights and stuff. Like, you were at a carnival. It's just like funnel cake here, funnel cake. I was like, I don't know if you heard or not, gonna be murdered today. Like, that's another good Daniel Tosh bit where he talks about
Yes.
he's just like, how can
meal.
people have last meals? He's like, I would lose my appetite. He's like, hey, what do you want for your last meal? He goes, I don't know if you heard or not, I'm gonna be murdered tomorrow. Like,
That's funny.
but that's crazy. That's the only time that I can. Well, I mean, I don't really know a whole lot about serial killers, but like people were literally, it was like an event.
Like an event.
Like
yeah.
they were around the whole jail and like cheered when he was murdered, because that's how famous Ted Bundy was. That's the crazy part.
Yeah. Infamous.
And
He's
so
famous. He's infamous.
that's the Three Amigos. For those who've never
Yes.
seen that movie,
Yes.
know that I hate you to your core. Not really, I don't hate you, but you need to go watch that one. All right, what's my next serial killer?
It's
John
kind of a
Lennon.
weird one.
I have no idea.
A fat John Lennon, maybe? It
Yeah.
is Son of Sam.
Never heard of him.
Okay. He is my least favorite, almost one of my least favorite, in the sense that he is the biggest wiener, one of the biggest wieners to exist. He was the one who just would like literally run out into the street and just wildly shoot his gun. He would like aim, quote unquote, but he had horrible aim. So he actually killed
I was
I
trying
wanna
to
say,
shoot.
like-
I was trying to shoot in the sky, and I shot 3 people. My bad.
I say only, okay, in comparison to Ted Bundy, who killed 40 plus.
Yeah.
I think he only killed about 6, maybe 7. And he would just like walk up to people in their cars at night and just like shoot into their cars and not even like aim for them, just wildly shoot into the cars. So
How
my
long-
fun fact about him, what?
How long did it take him to get caught?
I don't know actually, because he's so boring. I can't stand him.
Yeah.
And I sound so terrible, but like he's just the biggest wiener. Because then he made up this entire story that his neighbor's dog was possessed by a demon named Sam. That's why he got the name Son of Sam. And blamed it on the possessed dog, when in reality he's just a turd-faced wiener. And fun fact about him is he is still alive.
For real?
Yeah, he's just in prison. He's alive. And he gives the interviews. Oh, he's the worst.
Hey, we should have him on the show. Just be like, hey, so how's that dog doing? You know, like.
How's it going? Ugh. Listen to an interview of him and you will want to gouge your ears. You will want to put like picks in your ears. He's like nails on a chalkboard. Like at least Ted Bundy was like
Charming
suave and like
Yeah.
charming, even though
Yeah.
he was like crazy and irate at the end.
All right,
Last
so-
Podcast on the Left does a good episode about him.
Well, I'm definitely gonna have to look that up because I know nothing about him, and now I'm intrigued. Colonel Sanders, Abraham Lincoln. I know who's that one.
He murdered people with his chicken, and it is Colonel Sanders. How did you know? I'm just kidding. So
He's been
fun
killing
fact
people. He's been killing people with sodium for years.
for years. He is Albert Fish.
Okay,
2 fun facts about him.
that there was a possessed fish, and that's why he murdered people.
What genre of people do you think he murdered?
Genre?
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't want to be like, tell me what age and sex of people you thought he murdered.
Like what race? Is that what you're asking?
No, like, what kind of people? Like, he killed
Oh.
little boys, he killed women, he killed anybody.
He killed literally anyone that was around
He
or in
just
a
shot
car.
his gun wildly.
Yeah. If you were in a vehicle past 9, he was bang, bang, banging you.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be like 65-year-old people or 70-year-old people.
No, small children, very small children.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry. So a few little fun facts.
that was so opposite from what I thought.
No,
I thought you were going to be like,
sorry.
he was a physician and he just killed the old people instead of healing them.
No, I don't like that. I don't like when doctors, I have to go to doctors. When doctors kill people, like Dr. Death, no, I don't like
Fun fact, never put, I've always heard never put that you're like that to be an organ donor, because then like if they have a chance of saving you, they'll just be like, well, hey, listen, we need a kidney in Milwaukee by tomorrow. So let's go ahead and let this one die. Do you know if that's true or not?
I feel like you're talking about like the black market, and I don't think they're like purposely killing people to steal your organ.
Listen,
But I don't know.
I'm into some conspiracy theories. Okay.
Oh God. Okay, so Mr. Albert Fish here
Okay.
killed very small children. He is famous for the rosebud letters. He killed a little girl. He killed mainly little boys, but he killed a sweet little girl. And he wrote the family a letter. It was really horrible. It's out there on the internet. Go find it. Also, this was Brandon's introduction to true crime. The most, he also stuck things up a hole in his body that shouldn't have stuff. He stuck it up his urethra. Like when they x-rayed him, when they took him in, his like stomach area was just full of like needles. He would put like roses up there. So like my sweet, kind husband, I was like, hey babe, we're on a road trip. Will you listen to one of my true crime podcasts with me? And he finally caved. He finally said yes. And it was a 3-parter about a child murdering man who stuck stuff up his junk.
So, okay. I don't really know what to say to that. So was he executed or what?
I think he was executed. He's super old, by the way. He's the oldest. Like this was like before there were like phones and electricity. I don't know, but he was killed people a long time ago. So yeah, he's dead. Wow. He's super dead.
That's okay. Do you have another one? I don't like. I don't know what's worse, the murdering or like the up the.
Yeah.
Just
I mean, I'm gonna say murder personally. Like personally, I'm gonna say murder is better than sticking foreign objects up your body because you're doing it to yourself. Personally, that's how I feel.
I'll probably All right. So who's the next one?
Come on.
Oh, what's the other guy that sings? Is that Dan O'Shea? What's the one that has the curly hair? The country singer's Dan O'Shea? No, I have no idea who that is. Hang on.
It's Charles.
Oh, it's the Manson dude, right?
It's Charles Manson.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Charles Manson is his backstory is actually very interesting. He is interesting. My fun fact about him is that he was charged and convicted for murder, even though the murders he was convicted for, he never actually committed.
That's right. He never touched a single person. It was his like cult.
In the murders he was convicted for. I'm not saying he didn't murder people because I think he actually did. It was quote unquote self-defense. So he never, and I think it was another scumbag. So I don't think he ever got charged or like anyone ever cared, honestly.
Yeah.
But that being said, he, was charged for 9 murders that he physically did not commit. And then he was charged with like conspiracy to murder and blah, blah, blah.
Well, he was also somebody, didn't he beg to not get out of jail? Because like, what didn't he say? Like jail was his only safe place, and like they kept kicking him
multiple times throughout his entire life. Yes,
like kept begging. He's like, please keep me here. Do not let me go back out there. And he is an interesting one. I watched a documentary on him as well, and he's interesting because it seemed like when he went back to jail for like whatever, when he finally got convicted. Like that's when he went psycho and started drawing like swastikas on his face or like tattooing it on his face and went insane. And like there was a couple of crazy things with him. It's like he legit was the leader of a cult. And like that was the creepy part. If you ever watched the trials and stuff, is like the girls like holding arms and coming in and singing and skipping.
And singing.
Oh my. Like that's the
Whoa.
stuff that makes me just go, nah, I'm good. Like I'm
Yeah,
done
you just like
watching
wait
this.
for their head to like turn around off their body. Ugh.
They're real life Annabelle dolls, 100%.
Yes.
And like,
Yes.
I know there was a couple times where, in the trial where he was trying to plead for like insanity, and just so he could get put in like a safe place because all he wanted to do was just be off the street. Because didn't he have a pretty terrible like upbringing? I'm pretty sure. Like, didn't his
Yeah.
mom, like his mom was a horrible person, and like he was involved in drugs, like 7 or 8 years old or something crazy like that. He was heavy into drugs, and like there was a lot of like rape and stuff, and he had a
Yeah.
horrible backstory. And I heard like the saddest,
He
like,
was assaulted a lot.
yeah, and apparently he was like an amazing musician, and like, you know, was well recognized as a guitar player, and then he just happened to be a leader of a cult later on. Like he had so much potential.
I went to high school with some people who were like, "Oh man, have you ever heard of Stuff?" And I'm like, "No, no."
If I'm
Like,
being,
you know, when people had to be edgy and you're just like, "No, I didn't listen to Charles Manson. This is coming from me. No, I didn't listen to D-Bag's music."
yeah, you weren't just like, hey, let me turn on his EP. I really want to know what he's working on over there. The songs are just, I'm going to murder, not actually me, but other people. Yeah, he's just like, I'm gonna get other people to do the crimes for me. I just thinking of him just like writing these tunes like, go stab that pregnant woman. And you're just like, oh
yeah,
my
I think
God.
this is really good, you guys. Let's start a race war.
Have you
Like,
ever
guys,
seen
this is really good.
Have you ever seen the Key and Peele skit where he's like investigating the guy named Gunrack, and he's just like, Gunrack, you're being charged for this murder. He's like, I wasn't there. I was at Applebee's. And then he plays like the song, and it's like, Applebee's is my cover up, but I actually murdered the guy. I'm gonna attach that. You know, oh my goodness. He's like, he shows him a picture. He's like, this was the murder weapon. He's like, what does that look like? He's just like, I've never seen that before in my life. And he's like, it's a gun of the big ass variety. Like, it is one of the funniest skits they've ever done. It's like a rapper who makes a mixtape about the murder that he committed, but they can't catch him on the charges. And so like the song is like, I shot him in the face 9 times. And he's just like, what is that? He's just like, it's my art. I'm just expressing myself.
My art.
It's
what
the
is this?
best. I'm gonna attach it to the videos because it is the best Key and Peele skit out there. All right. Who's below Manson? Oh, that is, I recognize him actually. Why can I not remember him? I can't think of his name.
Richard Ramirez.
That's right.
AKA the Night Stalker.
The Night Stalker.
So, people thought or think he's attractive. He's disgusting, and he has halitosis on top of everything else.
What is
like
halitosis?
On top? It's like chronic bad breath. And
no,
then like I guess he drank like rotten milk and just always smelled like rotten milk too. This is what, okay, his first murder, this is a really terrible fun fact or side note or fun fact, I don't know. His first murder was a 9-year-old girl. A lot of people I feel like don't know that, and they always talk about the first women, like adult women he murdered.
Yeah.
He murdered a poor little 9-year-old girl first. Isn't that horrible? And people think he's attractive, and that makes it's same thing with Ted Bundy. Like, ew.
Oh, everybody, do you remember when like they're just like, we're gonna get Zac Efron to play him in this live action? I'm like, I think we should probably stop like, you know, sexualizing all of these serial killers.
Agreed on that. Because the bottom line is they're trash.
Yeah,
they're horrible, horrible.
They're
people.
all horrible, evil, wicked people, 100%. All right, so how did he murder his victims? Was he?
Name it. He did it. No, I think it was mainly like strangulation. Apparently, I can't talk.
Okay. Well,
he did a lot too.
Yeah. Well,
and he would sneak into people's homes if like your door or window was unlocked. That mofo was coming in.
That's my biggest fear is that someone's just gonna like, come into my. That's my biggest fear is someone's gonna, because I've seen so many true crimes where it's just like the back door was cracked and he decided to go in and murder somebody after getting his McDonald's, and I'm like, but why?
Just like walk in your neighborhood. Yeah. He would walk neighborhoods and try doors. If a door was open, he would, because he played the whole Satanist card too. Blah blah. If a door was open, he'd be like, "Oh, Satan wants me to murder these people."
I can just see him. Damn it, I can't murder that one.
Yes.
No, I can't murder that one. He's just like,
you locked your door. Yeah. Darn.
That's what's stopping him from literally murdering people.
It was a locked door. I feel like that's lazy for the record.
And no, 100%.
You don't really want it.
You got me this time. It's like Swiper no swiping when they just literally make it a little inconvenient for Swiper, and he's just like, oh
Like,
man.
oh man.
That's
Yeah.
wow. We think way too much alike. All right, the guy who gave me nightmares. Oh,
Yeah, good job.
I
Jeffrey
can
Dahmer.
I can remember every detail of his interview still to this day. That's how bad it burned into my brain.
That's so interesting. So, My Friend Dahmer is a very interesting film.
That was
It
where
was
they
not.
taught where he was like a kid, right? I
Yeah.
just watched that.
Did you really?
I had COVID, and someone posted like My Friend
Why
Dahmer.
didn't you tell me this?
I honestly forgot. Like it was that COVID blur where I was just like, I woke up and I was just like, he's just like being
That's
bullied,
fair.
and I'm just like, well, what is this?
You weren't going to be in my top 3 best friends anymore. So if I died after that statement for not telling me, if I died, you weren't allowed to be like super sad. You
Am
were
I
only
back?
allowed to be
Am I
mildly
back
sad.
now? Okay.
Yeah, you're back. You're back. No, My Friend Dahmer was very interesting. You need to know his backstory before you watch My Friend Dahmer. Because
Yeah.
I think because it came out around the time of the Zac Efron or the Ted Bundy
It was
documentary.
right about that. Yeah.
And I think people equated the two, and when they watched it, they didn't like it. But if you don't know anything about him, you can't watch it. There's too much.
All right, so give us a
Because
little
it doesn't even show.
give us the backstory.
I don't have too many little facts about him except for he was obsessed with animal bones as a child, like grossly obsessed. Like the way that our brother Justin is obsessed with sports
An Xbox
or like food and
or
Xbox
vapes,
or vapes
or the
or
same
his.
or the hoodie that he wears, or
In his defense, I have that same hoodie just in pink, and I also wear that nonstop. So,
oh, okay. I mean, it does look super comfortable, but I'm one of those, like, when people are like, you've got to try this, it's amazing. I'm just like, I'm gonna never do it until one day I crack 20 years later. I mean, I just got my first pair of Crocs, 100%. Like, yeah. I was late to Game of Thrones. I just got a pair of Crocs for the first time like 3 months ago, and I've been hearing how amazing they are, and I'm not gonna lie, they're amazing. All right.
They are amazing. You can't hate on popular things.
Well, the problem is people talk them up, and then I feel like when I have a high expectation and I go in and then I hate it, and then I was just like, I don't get it. So like I'm working on it.
You're let down. Okay. All right. That's fair.
All right. So he's obsessed with animal bones, and that's like that whole movie was, or the whole like show, My Friend Dahmer was about like him collecting the bones and like his. Like he even mentioned in his documentaries, because all these people are like, my mom and dad beat me or whatever. Like he said, like he had a very good home life. They treated him great. Yeah. Like
his parents weren't like the best ever. His mom was a little bit cray, but like overall, they really weren't the worst. His poor dad is interviewed, and his dad's just this nice Midwestern man.
Yeah. I felt so like that's the thing that burned in my brain. He's like, I never guessed my son would do something like that. And he's like, what, you mean murder and have sex with skulls? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, his backstory is crazy. And it was all, his thing was like, it was power. For some reason, that was like what he got off on, was like the power and control of another person, right?
He wanted to like incapacitate somebody. So he wanted complete control over them. He wanted like a zombie. He wanted a zombie. That's what he tried to do. He tried to make them all into zombies. So that's
fun fact, the first person he murdered was on accident.
Yes.
I did not know that.
That's the rumor with John Wayne Gacy as well, that John Wayne Gacy had a young man stay the night. It was consensual partnership.
Yeah.
And that he woke up and went into the kitchen, and the kid had a knife in his hand, but he was cooking him breakfast, and John Wayne Gacy attacked him and killed him. And they say his first one was like a quote unquote accident, because he thought the kid, because it was like literally like a sex worker. And so he thought the kid was going to attack him and like rob him or something. So he killed him. And then that's how he found out he liked to kill people.
Oh.
I don't want to give him any credit though. He's still a horrible human being.
Yeah.
I've heard mixed things about Jeffrey Dahmer, because like on one hand, he seems so sad and pathetic, and then his interviews are just so sad and pathetic, and he just really matter-of-factly just tells us all about his murders. Yeah. But at the same time, you murdered people. Like,
well, that's the thing, is like you do in a way feel bad for them and like sympathize for them, but at the same time you don't. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you're like, some people are just like, oh, they need to just burn and die forever. It's like 100%, but at the same time, like their whole life is ruined, and a lot of them were put to death. And it's like, that's still like sad. The fact that, like, especially if they have a backstory like his, where it's like, he grew up pretty normal. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like he was getting beat up and beaten by his parents and, touched by his uncle. Like, he had a pretty normal life.
Well, that's even like Charles Manson, like you said. It is kind of sad. Like, he was assaulted a lot.
Yeah.
Before like he was even at the age of like 18.
Yeah.
But people are raised by terrible people and assaulted every day. And turns out not all of them go around murdering people.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
All right. So the next guy, that's Ted Cruz. Who is that? It looks like Ted Cruz. I don't know why.
No, Ted Cruz is a Zodiac killer. Get up with your conspiracy.
Oh, that's right. I don't know who that
is Ed Gein.
Who?
Ed Gein. He is Nipple Belt. He is the skin suit man. He is who Norman Bates is based off of.
Oh.
He actually only murdered like very few people. And at first he started out as like a grave robber, and he would rob all the graves. And then he made a lady suit. He wanted to be a lady. He made a lady suit complete with a.
So this was like before they thought about transgenders, or like.
I think he just was like in the middle of nowhere, podunk place, and it probably wasn't accepted. His mom died, and so like the Norman Bates connection is he idolized his mother, and his mother was like a horrible person who said all women were harlots and sluts and we're gonna just seduce him and whatever. So then when she died, he literally nailed shut her bedroom, and her bedroom was completely untouched. So when the cops came in, and there was like no power there either, so it was just disgusting and gross. Which at the end of Bates Motel, I don't want to ruin it. I mean, it's been out for years. People go watch it.
It's like that Nate Bargatze joke where he's like, I gotta spoil the Sixth Sense. He's like, but by the way, it's been out for quite a while. So yeah.
20 years. So yeah, he's who that's based off of. And he had a belt made out of nipples, and he had like a lampshade made out of people's skin.
Oh, yes. I thought you said nickel belt.
Oh no, I'm sorry, nipple.
You're talking about
I need to pronounce it.
A nipple belt?
Yes, like on the chesticle area of a person. Yes, I'm sorry for the podcast world out there. I'm talking about that, and he had a belt made out of those.
Yeah, guys, like the
Yep.
Like the nipples was a belt.
Yeah. And then he had a lady suit that he made, and he would put on, complete with a hoo-ha.
It's just funny that he included like the hoo-ha, like, you know what I mean? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you gotta be what I want.
All right, so the last guy, I know who this is.
Okay, tell me.
This is the dude that tried to send Woody to Japan in Toy Story 2. Al from Al's Supermarket.
Al from Al's Toys Barn.
Toy Barn, yeah.
Funny story is, so to offset all the murder that I watch, I also watch an extraordinary amount of Disney.
Facts.
Extraordinary amount of Disney. So not too long ago, I actually watched Toy Story 2, and I thought the same thing when he popped up on my screen. I was like, oh.
I could tell.
It's Dennis Rader.
Oh.
BTK.
That's right.
Bind, Torture, Kill. He gave himself that nickname.
Yeah.
Weirdo. So another loser, little fun fact and shout out, my cousin Amanda is deathly afraid of him. I mean, we're all
I mean, well, like I was about to say, if you're not afraid of serial killers, like you're probably the serial killer.
You're probably the serial killer.
Yeah, 100%.
So just like how I felt with the East Area rapist who would like break in and tie up the husband and attack the wife, this guy a lot of times picked, aside from one family, which was unnecessary, he would pick women living alone, and he would scope out their place for weeks. He would hide in their closets. He'd go in their house while they're gone, hide in their closets, and then wait. He had the patience, like, I don't know, like, of nobody I've ever seen or met or heard of. He would wait in their closet for hours and sneak out in the middle of the night and murder them. So that is Cousin Amanda's biggest fear right there. So she checks her closets because of BTK and of hearing that. She checks her closet.
I'm sleeping with my bedroom lights on tonight, you know. I'm
I
gonna check.
mean, the lights isn't what's going to keep someone from murdering you.
I do find it ironic. No, I can just see the death coming at me. That
Oh, okay. All right.
it's kind of ironic that the most patient man is by the most unpatient man. Like this
Yeah.
dude, if the door was locked, was like, I'm out. And this dude's like, I will sit in your house for 13 hours till you get home from Aldi's where you
Yes.
work. And
I will
then I'll
pick
murder
your
you."
lock and sit there forever. He also was like a neighborhood. Shoot. I think he was a dog catcher at one point because he hated dogs and he murdered his neighbor's dogs, which like, hello, red flag,
Yeah.
big time.
If you can hurt an animal, that in all seriousness, though, if you can hurt an animal, like if you can just
Yeah.
kill a cat or a dog, you're a psychopath and a serial killer.
Yeah, for sure. And then he was like the neighborhood, like he would yell at people if their grass was like too long and stuff like that. You see this D-hole like walking around with like a measuring stick in people's grass.
100%. It says no
Oh,
soliciting. He's like, I'm just trying to tell you about Jesus. I'm not trying to sell you anything. And he's like, tell Jesus there's no soliciting. It's like, Jesus. I'm like, come on.
He was a deacon in a church.
Of course he was. It's always, think about it, it's always the people that are the fakest, you know, like John Wayne Gacy was just like, oh, I serve in the, no guy's getting up at 8 a.m. to go coach girls softball just for the love of the children. You know what I mean? Like that guy's a psychopath.
He was into politics. Ted Bundy was into politics. He was sort of kind of into local politics.
Of course it was. And we're supposed to trust our government, people. Let's put it that way. I have another joke, but I won't say that one. Okay. So let's get off of like these guys and go to fictional.
Oh.
Give me like, if like, you know, like the Halloweens, you got your Michael Myers, you've got your, you know, your Ghostface. I was going to say, give me your top 3 like fictional killers.
Oh,
Dexter number 1, of course. Also, by the way, if you have not seen the new season of Dexter,
I haven't. I don't have Showtime. I'm too poor.
It is incredible. So yeah, it's also very expensive.
I'm sorry, do you have Showtime and you've not shared your login information with me?
So if you have Apple TV, you get the first 2 episodes free.
You have Apple TV and you've not shared your login with me?
Yeah. Do you want? I can give you my Apple TV. I mean, the only thing on Apple TV worth watching is Ted Lasso, if we're being honest.
Do you want to give it to me right now?
But yeah, so the second one's really good. Are you being murdered?
My spotlight is dying. So.
Oh, but no. So yeah, second season's good. All right, so you got Ted Bundy. Who's your other 2?
No, Dexter.
Or Dexter.
I mean, Michael Myers just like never dies.
Yeah.
Literally, I don't want to spoil the last Halloween.
See, and that's where it lost me.
If anybody hasn't seen it, he just never dies. Well, I feel like they're taking it. Listen, I feel like we're stepping into like maybe he really isn't human. Like, are we gonna go through like a whole new genre and make him actually subhuman?
Yeah,
because that would be kind of different and interesting.
Well, after a while, you got to do something different with these characters because it's like you can't keep telling the same story 12 times in a row. And like you can tell, like the remake, the last one before the new one came out this year, was awesome.
I loved that one.
It was so good. And I was like, all right, this is like a unique take. Like Laurie Strode's on the defense, and like she's super, which somebody would be. Like she would be paranoid and would be over psychotic. Go ahead.
Jamie Lee Curtis is one of my favorite people to exist.
Really?
Yeah. So like the fact that like that plays in, I think, with me liking Michael Myers is just because she's the Scream Queen.
Fun fact about Scream, now that you mentioned that, our mother.
Oh, I like Scream.
Oh, I do too. But our mother was what? You go, ew.
No, because were you saying she's watching Scream? I wasn't saying about our mother.
Go our mother, you go, ew.
I'm in your brain. I already know you were about to tell me she's watching Scream.
Yeah. I walk into the house the other day. I'm like, what's up, everybody? And she's watching Scream.
Dude, you want to talk about where my love for murder came from? She likes all the same dark crap I like.
Yes, she does. Anybody that can watch Dr. Pimple Popper with like while eating popcorn is a sick human being. Like she's just like, that's so good, isn't it? I'm like, no, you nut. What is going on with you?
So when I found out, she like let it slip because growing up we were very, very, very conservative, and like demonic things weren't allowed, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like as I've gotten older and she's gotten older, and they're not crazy weird religious, they're just normal religious now. She'll let it slide here and there, and I'm like, Mom, I actually have a show for you. And so I've been sending her all my murder shows. I think she had a surgery a couple years ago, and I sent her just like murder show after murder show, and she was
Yeah.
like, oh, I love this, oh, I love this. And so, Haunting of like Hill House, that's more scary than
Yeah.
murdery. Did you watch that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good, because those are all phenomenal.
I did
Haunting of Bly Manor.
Yeah, Bly Manor. I was just about to say Bly Manor is really good. Well, I did this year. I did the Halloween Gauntlet, which I did 31 days,
Yes.
31 different movies. And if you have never done it, it's actually a lot of fun. Like
Yes.
it was so cool. And I'm not a massive scary movie person, but it was so cool. Like every night sitting down and watching a new scary movie. So if you've never done the Halloween Gauntlet, I encourage you to do it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then Jessica has a very unique murder gauntlet that you can go through.
Yeah.
If you never want to sleep again.
I'll give you all the best documentaries with all the true stories. No make-believe stuff going on over here.
Yeah, I hate when they like speculate. They're like, "Well, he could have gone into this room and used a shotgun." And it's just like, what? Why are we speculating? Like, we have actual evidence and facts.
There are facts here.
All right, so we've got Dexter, we've got Michael Myers, and then finish it out. What's your last one?
I don't know. You put me on the spot.
I know. I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this question.
Because I like true crime.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love all the other BS. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I kind of would say Norman Bates because he's just so icky.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm not mad at that. I mean, the dude from You kind of creeps me out in a weird way. Because I don't know.
Yeah, he's a good stalker, I guess. He's good at his job.
I'm one of those like, I like scary movies, but if I feel that it's too real, or if I like movies about like murderers or killers, whatever. But if it feels too real for me, I'm out. Like if I'm like, oh, I feel like this could definitely happen where I live. Cause like, some of those you're like, this would never happen in Middle Tennessee, right outside of Nashville. But then when it's like, oh, some dude just goes door to door and murders people.
That's exactly where it happens.
Yeah. That's when I feel like it's tangible.
Lock your doors, lock your windows. Get in your car and lock your doors.
Yeah.
Walk around with that pepper spray in your little tiny pocket knife.
Never do what they do in scary movies, which is especially what white people do. It's like, yo, did you hear that sound? Let's go investigate. No.
I think maybe that's sometimes why I can't get into certain scary movies. Because I'm just like what we started this out saying, as women, we are always afraid we're gonna get murdered. So I'm constantly like, all right, let's go. Who's coming at me today?
Yeah. Well, and see, like, I'm just going to point this one out here. It just came to my brain. The reason Black people die first in scary movies is because they're the only ones telling us to run away. Like, they're the ones who's like, nah, don't go in that room. There's a killer in there. And then they're like, no, we got to kill this guy because he's the only one making sense.
Yeah, this guy's really logical. We should get rid of the most logical one first.
100%. They're just like, the Black guy's always like, I'm not going in there. And the white people are like, I think we should go investigate. They're like, well, we got to kill the Black guy because he's making way too much sense right now. Yeah. So I think
the demon spirits are like, listen, I know it's stereotypical, but he's got to go because they're the ones making most sense. Stupid white people.
Yeah, we're always like, it's like those white people that die from mountain lions and stuff all the time. They're just like, well, I was hiking on a trail at 3 a.m. and ran across a pack of wolves. I thought they looked friendly. And it's just like, and then Carl was eaten alive. It's like, gosh, white people. We're so stupid.
However, I do find rabid dogs a lot because I don't work in the best area. And I do try to take them home. I actually tried to take a dog home, and he was actively growling and barking and snarling at me. And I was going, come here,
come here, little pup.
Yeah.
What's that?
He was not nice.
I'm trying to think of what that animated show is where she's like, come here. And like whatever it is like about to eat her. Oh, it's going to hit me, of course, right after this.
All right. Is it the Tiny Toons girl where she's like, I love it and pet it?
Yeah. She's like, and squish it and take care of it. Yeah. Well, I've learned a whole lot more about serial killers than I definitely wanted to know. I'm going to be watching several episodes of The Office or Rick and Morty after this.
I'll watch a Disney movie before I go to sleep. It'll be fine.
Yeah. But thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
This was a much requested subject, to be honest. Like I've had a lot
Really?
of people ask about serial killers, and I've never had the guts to be like, of course I want to talk about serial killers. And then I was just like, well, I don't understand why I don't just bring on my sister, Jessica, you know? So I love the fun facts. I appreciate the homework. You know, you'd be surprised how many guests I've had on podcasts where I'm like, hey, we're going to talk about X, Y, Z. And then when they come on, they're just like, I didn't even know what your name was. And it's just like, this is super awkward. I
Well,
had
thank
someone
you.
on my sports podcast ask me what my name was in like the middle of the interview though.
Oh no.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh.
we didn't use his interview and I never published it because it was that awkward. Like it was very I'd ask him a question and he'd be like, "Yep."
Oh.
And I was just like, "Oh, anyways." And then like halfway through the interview, you know, like and I try and stay like keep the conversation flowing so the guest doesn't feel pressured. And I
Right.
remember like halfway through he goes, "What was your name again, man?" I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" He's like, "What was your name again?" I was like, but it says it on the thing that we're recording on. My name is
Yeah.
across the bottom. Like he didn't
Like
even
I had to
yeah,
email you and invite you to this. You had
yeah.
to read my name
We had
multiple
4 or
times.
5 conversations. I need to release his name at some point just because it's really funny. But he's also the same guy that stood me up like 4 different times, so I should have just said no. And then I didn't even
Probably.
interview because halfway through he was just like, "Yep, nope,
Have you just never seen the movie He's Not That Into You? Or read
no,
the book that He's Not That Into You?
no."
You, you would have picked up on the third missed phone call that he's just not that into you.
Oh, well, no. I'm the guy who just keeps calling and they're just like, "Jesus, I like blocked your number. How did you find I bought a new cell phone so I could speak to
It's
you."
my burner phone.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on, Jess. I love you.
Thank you. What was your name again?
Yeah, I'm your brother, Jacob, you know,
Oh, Jacob. That's right. That's right.
top three
Excuse
friends of
me.
all time.
Yeah.
Um, listen, guys, I say it all the time. The guest will be on the social media tag. So make sure you follow the guests. Make sure you're following at That's Life with Jacob on social media so you can stay up to date with everything I have going on. You know all the fun guests, and we get to interact. Like we interact on there. I'm always on there. I'm always posting stuff. Probably posting stuff I shouldn't. I'm always ready to answer
Probably.
a DM. So if you ever want to talk, hey, hit me up with a DM. I have a Karen or a Kevin comment at least once an episode on something and tell me what a horrible human being I am. So if you just want to get on and say, Jacob, I hate you. You're ugly. You have a very long neck. That's fine. Listen, my DMs are always open to the fans, but that's life, family. If I could leave you with one thing, sorry, go ahead.
I'll leave you with the one thing. Whoever slides into your DMs and says that horrible stuff, let them know your sister will kick their ass.
Thank you. Hey, I appreciate the
you.
support because there's a
I
lot of
love
people.
you.
Like I said, I get at least one Karen or Kevin a week. That's just like, you should kill yourself. And I'm like, I'm a 26-year-old trying to live out my dream. Like, leave me,
Not with your big sister around. Not anymore. This isn't happening.
Well, if I could leave you all with one thing, one piece of advice. If you actually you leave the people with some advice, then I'll leave them with some advice. You go for it first.
Well, I will quote one of my favorite podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, stay sexy and don't get murdered. And that is a ripoff. Don't
All
come
right.
at me.
Yeah, please no copyrights, people. Please. If I could leave you all with one thing, is that if you want to continue in life, just stay safe. Lock your doors. Yeah, lock your doors. Don't talk to strangers. If someone has candy in a van, you grab the candy and then leave. You know what I mean? Like get the snack first. But no, if I could leave you honestly with one thing, it'd just be like, hey, stay alive.
Well, and don't murder. Just
Yeah,
don't do it.
just don't kill. Don't kill. That's
Don't
take the
don't
we're gonna
kill.
drop it. Yeah, just don't. If we could leave you with anything, it's just don't kill.
Don't kill.
Don't kill. Just don't kill. That's life, family. I love you, Jessica. I love you. We'll see you next time.